Let's talk a little bit more about school safety. Claire Farish-Brimmer asks, does it make sense to provide armed guards for our schools like those that are provided for government buildings? You talked a little bit about this earlier. I'd like to hear a little bit more about this issue.
The answer is, Claire, I think not. And let me tell you, as speaking of the mayor of Chicago, the mayor of Chicago had a great line. He said that our schools are some of the safest places in the world for our children. The dangerous place is walking to and from school. So the vast majority of schools in America are safe. Doesn't mean any one public place is immune from a mass murderer deciding they're going to use that venue to engage in mass murder with an assault weapon or a weapon that has multiple rounds that they can fire and continue to refire by just dropping a new clip in with 10, 20, 30, 40 bullets in it. Now, what I do think is, I do think there are ways we can make schools safer. One of the things you've got to ask, if you read Parent Magazine, again, I'm assuming you're a parent or a grandparent or you're about to be a parent, and that is that do you want your child walking into a circumstance where everything about the circumstance says, I feel unsafe? Do you want your child to have to walk in through a metal detector? Do you want your child to have to walk down classrooms where they're in a classroom with armed guards? That's like a siege mentality. School should be a place where kids are at ease and they can flourish and they can feel safe. And the issue of whether or not you have a school resource officer in the school who gets to know the students in that school, is engaging with them, that's a judgment for a locality to make, a local school district, a local school. But the idea of having essentially a situation where you go through a metal detector, where you're frisked, where you have to take your shoes off, whether we're in a position where you have to empty your knapsack or your backpack with your books, that is not an environment I think most people who read Parents Magazine would want their children to have to go through.